First story. Entitled Girlfriend of 3 years, who wanted to remain a virgin, had sex with her coworker just after breaking up with OP and came back begging to reconcile, only to regret it again and tell OP she had reconciled with her ex, offering to be friends. OP lost it. I 23M met my ex 21F 3 years ago. We lived on campus at the university in different halls of residence. After a few months, we got together and, for the most part, had a very happy relationship. There was always one issue, though. My ex grew up in a very religious home. Her father is a pastor. She has been open with her family, saying that she does not share their faith. They weren't happy about it, but they accepted that she had to make her own choices on that. Nevertheless, I think some of that religious upbringing was still in her mind. I grew up in a different religion, but was never very serious about it, and I am no longer religious. Our relationship was pretty normal, except that she told me very early that she was a virgin and wanted to stay that way until she was married. It wasn't for religious reasons. As I mentioned, she isn't religious. But she was very focused on not disappointing her dad. We did other sexual things, just not intercourse. I never had much luck with girls growing up and going into relationships. I was a virgin. And I still am, at least if you classify being a virgin as never having had intercourse. Anyway, I was becoming more resentful of the fact that everyone I knew was having normal sexual relationships and we weren't. I couldn't understand why she didn't want to have a full sexual relationship, though, of course, I never pressured her about it. I felt that while I was at university and pretty broke, getting married was something for the future. Last year, I was in my last year of university, and she was working in her first professional job. Her degree was shorter than mine, so she finished university first despite being younger than me. She was talking a lot about all these successful guys she met at work, which did make me feel less as I was still a broke university student. Coupled with her still not wanting a full sexual relationship, it did make me feel more resentful. We had some arguments about it, and after a while, I felt that I should end the relationship as we wanted different things and our lives were on different paths. It was awful. She was crying a lot, and I felt terrible afterwards. Anyway, it has been nearly 6 months since we broke up. We haven't been in touch at all for most of that time. I have not been involved with anyone else during that time, as I was 100% focused on finishing my degree. I have finally finished university, and am about to start my first professional job. She recently got in touch again and asked to meet up. I was hesitant, but I decided we had so much good history that I should hear her out. She told me she'd been missing me terribly these past 6 months. She thinks she wants to get back together, and is open to having a sexual relationship now. I asked her, why now? What changed? And she looked uncomfortable. After a little prying, she said she had a short-term fling with one of the older guys at work while we were broken up. Which, of course, was fine as she wasn't my girlfriend anymore. Anyway, she said he persisted with her until she started having sex with him. She ended it with him recently. She was clear that it was consensual, but that the guy was very persistent in pursuing sex with her. I was gutted. I couldn't understand why she'd make me wait all those years. But she was fine doing it with some new guy she'd only been seeing for a short time. I asked if the reason she was open to having a sexual relationship now was because she wasn't a virgin anymore. She said yes. I asked her to give me some space to process all this. I'm conflicted and would love some advice on this. I have missed her a lot and still have strong feelings for her. But at the same time, it feels like I have been strung along for years. It's hard to put my finger on why I don't want to take her back. Everything logically makes sense for us to get back together. I'd even get to finally have a sexual relationship with her. But I feel awful about this whole thing, and I don't want to ignore those feelings. Additional information from the OP. Info comment. Some of the comments are being very harsh on my ex. And I guess that's not surprising, you don't know her. She's not some evil, manipulative villain. At all. I would never have been with anyone like that. She's still the funny, smart, charming, and beautiful girl I always knew. Any guy would be lucky to have her. I would be too if I could handle the baggage here. But I'm thinking I probably can't. And a clean break is the way to go. Though she may regret the relationship with the other man. It's not my business, as she was a single woman, and we were broken up. I wasn't ever expecting to hear from her again, really. This whole situation is very surprising to me. I'm feeling hurt because I guess this is a solid blow to my ego. I feel like the lesser man here. I can own that, and that's something for me to work on. Ultimately, I have some hang-ups about sex from this relationship that I need to deal with. A few people have suggested I could benefit from therapy. I'm going to look into that. I think I need help processing all these emotions in this situation. Relevant comments. Jinboy 32. I would ask her why she was willing to sleep with this guy after such a short relationship. But after 3 years, she was not willing to sleep with you. OP. I think this is the right question. Because I don't know why, she didn't say. All she said was that the guy was persistent. I'm torn about whether to simply text her that I don't want to rekindle things and leave it all in the past, or whether I should ask more questions about what happened. Because this hurts. I don't know if I'm ready to get details about her relationship with the other guy. Sometimes I just feel like I'm stunted in some way. A few comments have said I'm immature, and they're probably right. I know I'm the one who ended the relationship, and that she's entitled to do what she wants with anyone else. Still, it doesn't make it hurt any less. And maybe it's just best to say goodbye and leave all this in the past. Update. This is an update to my last post. Hello again. I appreciate people taking the time to comment on my last post. The response was a lot more than I expected, with over 2,000 comments. I'm amazed that so many people wanted to comment about my situation. Thank you. Warning. This post is long. I have kept a daily journal since I was 16. A lot of what follows is a dump from my journal. Yes, I know I'm not concise. I'm going to refer to my ex as Ellie, not her real name. I'd like to write a bit about the comments because so many people took the time to provide their thoughts, and I appreciate that. The majority of comments were some variation of move on, a clean break, a strong recommendation with a lot to recommend it. A minority said to give her a chance and see how it goes. Plenty are calling me an arsehole for ending it because I wanted sex in our relationship, or for being obsessed with her virginity. I dumped her because she wouldn't put out. And quite a few said that my breaking up with her made her feel like sex is necessary to keep a guy, and that it drove her heartbroken into the next guy's bed. There were a few she's pregnant comments. Not that I know of. It's not impossible, but if that happens, it won't have anything to do with me. The dude saying I should F her and leave her, or worse, seriously, some of you guys need a hug or a psychologist. No, I would never use her like that, no matter our past. Ellie and I were a loving couple for years. That counts for something, even after we broke up. Feeling hurt doesn't justify using her, or anyone else, for that matter. As for comments, I have some hang-ups about taking her virginity. My issue when we were together was that we weren't having sex in our relationship, not whether she was a virgin or not. Her being a virgin was her reason for being abstinent, but it wasn't directly an issue either way for me. If she hadn't been a virgin and wanted to be abstinent, I would have been in the same situation. The title of my last post was not great, really. I broke up because we were not having sex, not because she was a virgin. Bear in mind that for 3 years, Ellie had everything she wanted from our relationship. Boyfriend, love, affection, loyalty, support, and a guy who respected her wishes to be abstinent. While she got 100% of what she wanted, for me, there was a big element missing. And there was no way to reconcile that either we were having sex or not having it. Sex requires both to say yes, and that wasn't going to happen. With hindsight, I should have ended the relationship early on, when Ellie first told me she wanted to not have sex until marriage. When we got together, I was a naive 19-year-old who had never had a girlfriend before, so I kind of went along with things because I really liked her and got along with her so well. I fell in love with her and then kind of felt stuck in a relationship that wasn't what I wanted. I've learned from this and won't make that mistake in the future. I want to make active, not passive, choices in future relationships. To not just go along with things because that's what the other person wants. Our views about sex in our relationship were not compatible, so I ended the relationship rather than waiting any longer, hoping she'd change her mind. It was scary to take that step, and I put it off for way too long because I didn't want to hurt her. But I couldn't stay in the relationship just for her. I had to also consider myself. My mistake was waiting so long to get to that point. I regret that, as it caused her more hurt than if I'd ended it early on. Many of you say that sex just isn't that important. But for me, it is, at least as part of a relationship. You can disagree. That's fine. Some people are fine in no sex relationships. No judgment from me, but that's not what I want. Some people took issue with me, saying I felt she strung me along. On reflection, that's fair. Ellie was clear to me about wanting to not have sex until marriage. I foolishly stayed way too long, hoping she'd change her mind one day. She didn't. That was my mistake. I really strung myself along. She never led me on in any way. It hurt to learn that she had sex with the next guy relatively quickly after I waited so long. But she is my ex, So that is not my business anymore. She is allowed to change her mind. She can have sex or not, with whoever she chooses. I don't get a say in that. My hurt is an emotional response, not a logical one. Logically, I see she did nothing wrong by me. I'll get over it. It's just my bruised ego, if I'm honest with myself. I feel like I'm somehow a lesser man because she took that step with the next guy. I know objectively that that isn't true, but I sure feel it. I was not a perfect boyfriend, and I have made mistakes. I have learned from them. I don't regret breaking up with Ellie, and I still think it was the right decision for me. Enough background. A few things have happened. Last weekend was the Australia Day long weekend. I was on a camping trip in the Grampians, for any Aussies reading. It was so nice to be in nature, to do some bushwalks with friends, and to decompress. It felt good to talk about the Ellie situation with my friends around the campfire. Most of them knew Ellie pretty well from our years together, and they had a range of views, just like the commenters on my post. And I got the usual good-natured SHT about still being a virgin. I learned there's an expensive bottle of scotch they bought a while ago that's going to have its seal cracked when mine is. Bastards. One great question a friend asked was whether I would have ever decided to reach out and take Ellie back if she had never reached out to me first. The answer is no. It was so obvious to me. That cut through a lot of the confusion for me. I was being too passive in this situation and needed to do what I wanted. Not just react to what Ellie wanted. By the time I was on the way home, I had decided not to get back together with her. But that was moot. When I was driving home and got a mobile signal again, no mobile network where we had camped, the network delivered a bunch of messages from Ellie all at once. She said she was wrong to ask me to get back together, and that she's back with Tim, fake name now. She also texted that the thing with Tim is more serious than she told me when she last met with me. She apologized for misleading me about her and Tim's relationship. If you remember, she called it a fling before. She asked if we could meet to talk about it. I was not happy, so I just texted back, no. It's not very mature of me, but I wasn't in the mood to hear more about all this. And I was surprised and pissed off that she lied to me. That seemed very out of character for her. She tried calling me, but I didn't want to answer. She sent another text saying, Tim and I had a fight. I shouldn't have come to you. And finally, I'm sorry. When I got home, I was an idiot and let my curiosity get the better of me. I looked up Tim online. His real given name is uncommon, so it wasn't hard to find. I found him on LinkedIn, which gave me his full name. Ellie is one of his connections, and he works at the same firm, so I'm confident it's him. He's a director at their firm, one level below the partner. He also has pictures on Instagram. There were lots of posts about his adventures around the world at various events and exotic places, as well as shots of an expensive-looking car. A few photos of him and Ellie with their arms around each other in Singapore in November. I guess that confirms it was serious. He wouldn't have public pictures with her for a casual fling. All that just made me feel bad. No good comes from comparing myself to my ex's successful boyfriend. Ellie is not my girlfriend, and I'm not in competition with Tim, so I won't do that again. My ego's bruised enough already. I have been living a very frugal life my whole time at university, aka poor as F. So I know I can feel inferior when I see people with wealth. That's another problem to sort out. Anyway, all that was on Sunday afternoon or evening. On Tuesday evening, Ellie knocked at my door. She said that she knows I didn't want to talk to her, but she felt bad about everything and hoped I would let her explain herself, clear the air, and then I'd never see her again if that's what I wanted. I let her in. I was not happy with recent events, but figured I might at least get a clearer idea of what's going on. It was a long, heavy conversation over 4 hours, but here's the gist as I remember it. When we broke up, she was devastated. She said it took a couple of months before she started to feel a bit better. She missed me constantly and wanted to see me the whole time, but when I ended it, we agreed to keep apart and heal. In September, she met Tim at work. He manages a different team. She doesn't work for him. She said he was very charming and attractive and showed almost immediate interest in her. They got to know each other, and he asked her out. She was worried it was a rebound, but she felt so much better getting his attention that she went along with it. After dating for a while, she developed feelings for him, which later led to a sexual relationship. It wasn't a fling, and she dated him for a while beforehand. I asked about whether he had pressured her into sex last time. He said he was very persistent. She said she was trying to not upset me. She thought if she gave the impression she was reluctant to have sex with Tim, I wouldn't think as badly of her. So it was a story to try to spare my feelings. I told her it just made me worry she had been assaulted. She looked shocked at that and said no way. She was actually the one who initiated their sexual relationship. I said that although I don't like that she lied to me, I can understand why. I don't think she did anything wrong by changing her mind about abstinence. Yes, I was hurt when she told me she was having sex. But I have no right to judge her for anything. She's a single adult, and it's her life. I don't think badly of her. She burst into tears and said something like, "I thought you must hate me now." I assured her that I didn't. She said she was sad it didn't work for us, but that she never would have dropped her virginity commitment if we had not broken up. After we broke up, she decided that it was a commitment she made to her dad when she was still a kid, and it was messing with the life she wants now. So by the time she and Tim got into their relationship, she had already decided she was ready for sex with the right person. I asked about her dad, and she just said, "He doesn't need to know." I asked about why she asked to get back together. Tim is older, she told me. He's 32 and has been at the firm for 10 years. One day at work, one of the women made a snarky comment to Ellie about being another one of Tim's girls. She did some digging, and it turns out Tim has a history. He has dated a long list of women from work. Several of them were young graduate employees, just like Ellie. The rumor around the office is that Ellie is just the next girl to get used to him. She was horrified. She accused Tim of using her. They argued, and she told him it was over. Soon after that, she came to me. She felt as if we might be able to rekindle things now that she was open to a sexual relationship. But my hesitation and time to calm down made her realize that was a mistake. Over the weekend, Tim asked her to work things out. She decided to give it a chance. She tried to call me, but they went to voicemail. I was camping, so she sent those messages instead. So I guess that's settled. I don't want her back, and she's in a relationship, so she doesn't want me back either. We chatted a bit about how our families are going. She congratulated me on finally finishing university. She asked if I had been seeing anyone, and when I told her I'd been studying hard and working a lot since exams, retail job with no time for girls, she laughed and said I'm still a big nerd. She hoped we could be friendly if we ever saw each other. But she wants to keep out of contact out of respect for her relationship with Tim. She wants to give it a real chance of working, which is fair enough. She gave me a hug, said thank you for understanding, and left. So there you have it. Ellie involved me in her relationship drama. I would have preferred she hadn't, but at least it's sorted now. I'm glad I paid attention to my feelings and took time out to consider things, as it could have been very messy if I had taken her back. Trusting my gut has been the biggest lesson for me in all of this. I still care for her, despite recent events. It seems like she is dealing with a lot of complicated things between her new relationship and work gossip. I wish her well and hope she will be happy, whether it's with Tim or not. She was my first love, and I expect I'll always have warm memories of her. But it is clear now that I don't want her back. She is my past, and I want to look forward. Well, this has become an essay. Tutors at the university always told me I was too waffly in my writing. Well, F those guys. I'm not a student anymore. I can now focus on launching my new career with no distractions. I've worked so hard for so long to get here. My new job starts on Monday. It's going to be so great to build actual, real experience in my new profession, not just endless theory. I'll be earning much better money, no more student poverty, and I've got graduation in May to look forward to as well. I'm open to finding someone new, but that is way down my priority list. I'm not going to actively pursue that anytime soon. Cheers to everyone for their comments and advice. TLDR, we didn't get back together. Edit next day. Okay, you've convinced me. Today I blocked Ellie on everything. Since we agreed not to be in touch again, that shouldn't matter. But if she doesn't stick to that agreement, e.g., if she and Tim split or fight again, then it won't be easy for her to contact me again. I thought it was a petty thing to block someone, but in this case, you've convinced me that it's a way to take control of the situation. With luck, I won't hear from her again. And if I do, like if she knocks on the door, I'll remind her of our agreement and shut her off. It is time to stop being passive and take charge of my life. A life Ellie will not be part of. Relevant comments. Terracotta. I'm glad you came to the conclusion that was best for you. However, I feel you gave Ellie too much of what she wanted to feel better about herself, at the expense of your own emotional well-being. OP. I was already pretty churned up about things when she first asked to get back together. I wish she hadn't done that. But after she came to see me on Tuesday, it was easier for me. We got to mutually say no to a future together, and also put a lot of baggage in the bin. Is Ellie going to be happy? I don't know. I hope so. But I have my doubts about this Tim dude. But you probably can't trust my judgment on that. What's more relevant to me is whether I'm going to be happy. The answer is F yes, because I'm going to make that happen. OP on Ellie changing. Comment here. I came to terms with our relationship months ago. When she came back to me, it stirred up some old feelings because we'd been a couple for so long. But thinking about it now, that was more of an echo of those memories than real feelings. All of this drama was Ellie's doing. I would have preferred she never involved me, so I could have been blissfully ignorant of her romantic life. I'd prefer not to know about her worldly, rich boyfriend, or their sexual life. She's definitely changed. The Ellie I remember was scrupulous and honest to a fault. The Ellie I have dealt with recently wasn't like that so much. I think that's why her lying to me pissed me off so much. It wasn't just the lying. It was how out of character it seemed. But people change. She's in the business world now, and people there live by different standards than the religious family she grew up in. Anyway, I have cut myself out of her life. So anything that happens with her is hers to deal with. If she comes back to me, I'll remind her we agreed to stay apart and leave it there. I am not looking for another relationship right now, so no Tinder for me. And no, I am not looking for casual sex either. I'm a virgin, but I want a meaningful connection, not just sex. As I said in the post, I'm open to something if the right woman comes along. But I'm not actively seeking it. That might change after a while, but right now I want to keep focused on my new career. OP on having closure. Comment here. A lot of the comments here act like the final meeting was all for her benefit. Sure, she got some kind of relief or closure out of it. But it was also good for me. Seeing who she is just made of is 100%, no doubt in my mind that we wouldn't ever make sense. She has changed a lot in the last year, starting when we were still together and she had started her job. Random phrases like, work hard, play hard, are generally less kind and more dismissive of others. Clearly, she was being influenced by those around her, but it was her choice to take on those behaviors. I loved the old Ellie, but I'm not sure I even like the current one much. Anyway, I didn't feel like she intruded. I felt like I got a nice, neat ending to the whole thing and could get on with my life with a clear conscience. But we're clear now that it's over forever, and I have her promise that she will stay out of contact. If she ever does try to come back, I can remind her of her own promise and close the door. Second story. OP's fiancé is friends with OP's cheating ex and abandoned her to be with him. So OP demands to cut ties with him. Then ex revealed their affair behind her back, and how her fiancé is just using her to hide his sexuality from his family. And still delusional fiancé begs OP to marry him. Throwaway. Fake names. So my boyfriend Dylan and I have been dating for almost 5 years, and he proposed 9 months ago. We've known each other since high school. However, at the time, we were only friends since I was dating my ex, Jason. Long story short, he cheated multiple times, and we broke off. That's when I went to college and started dating Dylan. They only knew each other from high school, but never had an actual friendship. Well, Dylan decided to host a party in order to celebrate our engagement, and one of his friends brought Jason. And surprise, surprise, they became friends. Now they text every day, go out on the weekends, or even have dinner together constantly. At first, I didn't think too much of it, but now I am uncomfortable. I talked about this with Dylan after he came back home from work. I established that his friendship with Jason is concerning to me, and that he spends more time with him. But he told me I was exaggerating. We kind of had an argument about how Jason cheated and lied to me for years, and how could he be okay with that? He said that people can change, and that he didn't mean it. We didn't talk much after that. But then he apologized and told me he'd take me to dinner at my favorite restaurant the next day in order to compensate for the time we haven't had these weeks. I was really excited. I even went to get my hair done and bought a really pretty dress that afternoon. We'd see each other at the restaurant since he can't get out of work earlier. Well, an hour passed, and there was no sign of him. I started to get worried and called him repeatedly. Then he arrived, looking terrible. He was drunk and even smelled like cigarettes. I asked him where he was, and he tried to avoid the question. I asked him again, and his guilty face told me everything. He was with Jason. I was livid and left the restaurant. We had an argument outside, and he confessed that he'd promised Jason to go with him to visit this new bar at his house, and didn't want to fail him. But I said it seemed he cared more about him than us, and that he should get married to him if he was that important. He said he was the only one who understood him, not me. I exploited him, and told him that if he doesn't cut him off, then I won't marry him. He started crying and called me an off for putting him in that position. Then he left. Now his mom and sister are also calling me the and manipulative of his life. I am at my sister's house, but I really don't know if what I did makes me the or not. OP added the following edit to the actual post about a couple of hours after the original post. Edit. Jason called me and asked me if we could see each other to talk about something. He didn't disclose what it was, but he said it was important. Top comment before OP's update in the comments. NTA, please don't marry him. He has already shown that you are second in his life to your ex. That's incredible. He should be caring about how you feel, not your ex. Please break up with him and find someone who will truly care about you. You are worth more than that. OP added the following update in the comments. I wasn't sure if I could actually write an update. I'm not fine. This has been so much, but you all pretty much wanted to know if I was okay. And thank you to those who sent supportive messages. I really appreciate it. So for the update, we went to a coffee shop near my house, and we talked. He said that he was sorry for what Dylan did, and that if he had known Dylan had a plan with me already, he'd have canceled immediately. Because he cares for me, and because he was sorry for our past issues, he has changed, and he's a better man now. I went straight to the point and asked him what he wanted. He continued by saying that he was only telling me this because he cares and wants me to be happy. The thing is that Dylan is gay, not bi. Jason has known me since high school because he cheated on me with Dylan. I knew Jason was a cheater because someone sent me pictures of him kissing other girls, but I never saw him with a guy, so I didn't know he was bi. He said it was just a fling and cut contact with him after it, and for a long time. Then Dylan reached out to invite him to a party, yes, our engagement party. He cheated on me with Jason again. We didn't live together at the time, so when I thought he was in his house, he was actually banging him. Jason realized what they did was wrong, and that he didn't want me to be with an like Dylan. So he flirted with Dylan in order to make him leave me, so I could find someone who could actually treat me the way I deserved. At first, he thought Dylan do it, but little by little, he realized he wouldn't let me go because he was so afraid to tell the world he was gay. Jason threatened him, saying that if he loved him, he'd leave me. Dylan refused, so Jason pretended to lose interest in him. Dylan became obsessed and afraid he'd leave, so every time he could, he'd talk to him, see him, etc. But since he never confessed his true self, he decided to tell me, so I just don't waste more time with him. I couldn't hold my tears. I was so heartbroken, I didn't realize Jason was hugging me. He continued to say that he was sorry, but I needed to know the truth, and that if I ever needed anything, I could call him. I left and packed all my stuff from the house. I took everything and went back to my sister's. There's still no sign of Dylan. He hasn't even called or texted. Nothing, and I'm starting to believe what Jason said, it's actually true. I am feeling betrayed, lied to, and mad. I don't know what to do next, but at least I know the truth. Thank you for reading. Update. Hi. I really don't know how to use Reddit, or know anything about Reddit etiquette. Sorry if it's not the usual way to see an update. I didn't plan on posting again, but my sister asked me to give you a final update, so I could have some closure. She told me about this forum, so all credit goes to her, I guess. I didn't intend to make this a conflict for the LGBTQ+ community. I saw comments harassing them, so please stop. It's because of it that some are still afraid of revealing their preferences, which can lead to situations like mine. I also received supportive and harassing DMs about how I'm a drama queen, my story is BS, how I couldn't realize that Dylan was gay, and things like that don't occur in real life. Spoiler, SHT like that can happen, and it hurts when people minimize that. I'm not saying that you should believe everything, but people write about their situations to understand what they did wrong. And for you to simply reduce their pain just because you haven't experienced something like that, it's petty. Try to give the benefit of the doubt to those reaching out. You don't know the impact of your comments. With that being said, I guess I owe you an update. Dylan never called me, so I decided to force him to tell me the truth. He was with a friend that friend told me, so I visited him. He didn't want to talk to me, but I insisted. He started by saying he was sorry. He needed to clear his head, and then would come back home. I told him it wasn't necessary. I didn't want to get married anymore. He was mad and started claiming me. I told him that I knew everything about Jason and him, and how a coward he was for using me to hide his sexuality. He was crying, saying that it was BS, Jason's lying, and that I wanted to belittle him. After a few minutes, he gave up and implored me not to tell his family or anyone. I said I wouldn't do it, but still, I won't marry him. I gave him the ring, but he grabbed my hand. He told me how I could do this to him, that I wanted to hurt him, and that I owed him this. I asked him to let me go. He was hurting me, but he didn't. My friend had to pull us apart. Dylan was screaming and getting aggressive, saying that I should stop lying. I cheated on him with Jason, and I wanted to blame him by saying he's gay when he isn't. My friend told him to get out, and he did. After it, his family called, asking what I'd done to him and calling me a liar and a snake. I told them to talk to Dylan, and if they continued harassing me, I'd get the police involved. Jason also reached out, sent me flowers, and I threw them away. I told him to leave me alone and never contact me again if he didn't want me to get a restraining order. I haven't heard from them since then. I don't know how to start fresh. We were supposed to get married on July 5th. Damn, I'm supposed to pick up my dress this weekend. My mom and sister told me they'd help me with it, but they'd need me because I paid for it. So I'm the only one who can cancel. Today, I cut my hair and cried on the way back. I'm crying while writing this, too. It's been so much, and I feel like SHT. So, I guess that's it. Sorry, the post got long. One of the top comments abbreviated. Good for you for cutting off a liar. I don't care about who loves who LGBTQ+. But cheating and lying are cheating and lying. In addition to cheating and lying about himself, he lied about you to cover his cheating and lying. He wants a woman to help him hide from his family. There are women who will do that, even on a temporary basis. But it's straight up emotional torture to go about it in deception with the woman from whom he's asking for help. Then, to drag everyone else into abusing you. Wow. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.